Good morning, welcome back. It is Wednesday, and this is our third and final installment of our flea market find video from some albums I purchased probably a month and a half, 2 months ago at a flea market. We've been doing this in alphabetical order because that's the way the albums were arranged. Got a really good price on them, and also this is part of the series, I guess it'd be 3A or 4 videos, because we did have a bunch of hero cards that we picked up as well that we did in a separate video. So anyway, let's get started here. We left off with PE for Petty, but we're going to start off with PA for Pearson. And I know that Petty is after Pearson alphabetically. Again, that's just how they were arranged in the albums. I imagine because there was more Petty cards than Pearson cards, that's just how they had them arranged. We're going to start off with two-time Busch Series champ Larry Pearson, whose first installment of a two-part series on the Scenefold podcast is this week, so I recommend you listen to that. There's Hall of Famer David Pearson, his father. Got Robert Presley, Busch Series and Cup Series regular. Had a decent career in the Busch Series with a handful of wins. Did not translate to Cup success, though. He did replace Harry Gant in the 33 car in 1995. But just the success didn't transition. I don't think Robert enjoyed the speedways as well as he did the short tracks. Did move to Diamond Ridge for a brief stint, but like everybody else at Diamond Ridge was met with, we don't want you to drive anymore, or whatever that was. Scott Pruitt ran for Cup Rookie of the Year in 2000 in the 32 car. That was the first season for the PPC Tide team. Jeff Purvis, another journeyman driver, spent most of his Cup and Busch career driving for James Finch. Had a career-ending injury at Nazareth. I believe that was in 2001 or 2. Driving for Bruco. We have a couple Jack Roush cars. Hall of Famer car owner there. Ricky Rudd, he should eventually get into Hall of Fame. Runner-up in points in 1991, driving for Rick Hendrick. Drove his own team from 1994 to 1999, before moving over to Yates for a few years. He would drive for the Wood Brothers, and then Robert Yates once again before calling it a career. So lots of stuff here between the 94-99 seasons, driving his own Tide Fords. Greg Sachs, another driver who he ran 3 full seasons, kind of in different scenarios. This one here for Larry Hedrick. He drove one for U.S. Racing or Jasper. It was a Jasper-sponsored car with DKL, Rick and Ray and Diane DeWitt as co-owners, and also ran pretty much most of a season in 1985, driving for his own team and Dygard after he took over for Bobby. There's a couple of pictures when he started the Kindle car in 1995 but got released. I think he should have stayed in the 77 for 95. I think he would have had better success. We have Elliott Sadler, again another one of these drivers, started with the Woods in the Cup Series, went over to Gillette Evernham, went to Yates, then went to Gillette Evernham. Then he went back down to Xfinity, where he found some success. His brother Hermie was pretty much a Busch Series driver, made a few sporadic Cup starts, but was pretty much a lifer in the Busch Series, mostly driving his own stuff. Jay Sauter, brother of Johnny Sauter and Tim Sauter, son of Jim Sauter, I think he got a couple wins back about 97 or so in the trucks. Elton Sawyer has a couple Busch Series wins. And yeah, we got a couple of them stuck together there. Kenny Schrader, longtime driver in the Cup Series. For Hendrick, drove for Petrie, drove for BAM Racing. Morgan Shepherd, who has one of the longer careers, making his first start way back in 1970. And recently making his last start, what was that, about 2016 or so. He's ran some Busch, Cup, ARCA, you name it, Morgan's driven it. So 4 career Cup wins, 3 of them coming in Atlanta. All of them, though, on the old configuration in 1986, 1990, and 1993. Mike Skinner, 97 Cup Series Rookie of the Year, has 1 Busch win in Atlanta in 1998. Of course, he recently had a birthday, so we've probably seen a few of these cards in that video. And we're going to jump to Lake Speed. 1 career Cup Series win, coming in 1988 at Darlington. He's had a few, he's kind of like Sachs. Didn't run a whole lot of full seasons. His first full season was 85 with Raymock. Then his next full season, I believe, was 1994 here when he drove for Bud Moore. And then 1995 and 96 he drove for Harry Melling. So he really didn't have a lot of full seasons under his belt as well. I guess 89 he tried to run the full season and got injured halfway through at Pocono and sat out about 5 races. Jimmy Spencer, Mr. Excitement, started in the Busch Series for C.C. Welliver Racing. Got the call up in 89 for Buddy Baker's team. Then he drove for Rod Osterland. Pretty much wherever Hut Strickland went, Jimmy would follow. Junior Johnson, Travis Carter. So he was all over the place there. Ran his own stuff in the Busch cars for a while. And then his career wound down at the 7 team, what was that, Jim Smith. The Sirius satellite team. We have Tony Stewart, not much needs to be said. Hall of Fame career, 3-time Cup Series champion. 3 IndyCar wins. IROC champion. Lots of sprint and dirt car wins. There's Hut Strickland. And I seen this. You have an Action Pack 93 on the left and a 92 Tracks team set on the right. And again, it's funny. 2 different companies use the exact same picture. So, kind of funny there. Hut, again, another journeyman driver, drove for Bobby Allison, drove for Junior Johnson, Travis Carter, Kenny Bernstein, and Stavola Brothers, as well as Junie Donlevy and Scott Barber's teams. We've got Trickle here, 1989 Rookie of the Year. Got 2 Busch Series wins, one at Hickory and one at Darlington. Drove for a long time for Junie Donlevy's team and drove for Jimmy Spencer's Busch team, so he had some mixed results. 1994, we spoke about it the other day, with Jimmy Horton driving the active trucking car. This is the one that Trickle drove in 1994. 95, he drove for Bud Moore. Only had 1 top 10 in each of those seasons. Kenny Wallace, Herminator. Had a, not a great Cup career. Handful of second place finishes, handfuls of poles. I believe he's got 9 Busch Series, Xfinity Series now, Series wins. 1993 contender for Rookie of the Year, brother Mike Wallace. Drove for Junie Donlevy. Drove for Phil Barkdahl. Phil qualified the car for the Daytona 500, but Mike drove it in the race in 1997. Actually, 1998. 97, Joe Nemechek bought the Phil Barkdahl spot. Then you have different ones here. Now we go to another Hall of Famer, Rusty Wallace. Got a few inserts here. These are pretty nice ones. Man and Machine. Always look these embossed ones that have the raised texture. Got a nice Maximum, his 50th career win there. Got an Octane cut out, die cut, whatever. We still have a little bit more to go, so we're going to keep rapid firing through this. Got the clear cut, and then the upper deck. I can't remember what this is called. Diamond Vision, I guess. Yeah. Pretty neat series. I like these profile cards. I think they're just super, super cool. Of course, you got to throw in a 91 Max, 97 Racer's Choice. So we're just going to, again, just show you some of the Rusty cards. Not much needs to be said about Rusty because his record and resume speaks for itself. A lot of cool cards there. 95 Virtual Velocity from Upper Deck. 95 Upper Deck. Of course, that Virtual Velocity, I believe, was released in SP. Got a Finish Line, got an Action Pack there, High Gear, Max, and a Pro Set. And a Made in America. Fitting for yesterday being July 4th. Max McDonald's. So again, they had a ton of Rusty cards in here. Now we moved to DW. Of course, this was during DW's final couple of seasons. Western Auto Time when he owned his own team in the early 90s. Pennzoil car when he drove for Earnhardt in 98 when Park was injured. And then there's his chrome car. There's the Tide car when he drove for Hendrick. And we go to his brother Michael. Jim Smith's number 7 Nations Rent car. MW Windows for his Busch car. Driving for Chuck Ryder in the Cup Series there. Bahari Racing. Wood Brothers. Little time there. Band-Aid, Marketing Machine Michaels, what they should have called him, as it was a revolving door of sponsorships. Want to get your name noticed, put it on Michael's car. Daryl's wife, Stevie Waltrip. Then we have Gail Wilson. We have some different Wilsons here, none that I'm aware of are related. Truck driver, Gail Wilson, crew chief Ken Wilson, former driver Rick Wilson, and then we have Donnie Wingo, Glenn Wood, Eddie Wood, so we got Wood Brothers representation, Hall of Famer Robert Yates, Cale Yarborough, another Hall of Famer, and then we're going to wrap up in the Z's here, Smokey Eunuch. We're going to wrap up with Greg Zipadelli. So again, this is not everything that was in that album. This is about a third of what was in the album. Oh, I do have one more card here. I just didn't want to put it in the stack. Did have I believe this is a Crown Jewels Citrine. It is numbered 715 out of 999. So 1996 Crown Jewels. I'm going to put that over here in my numbered stack. And we're going to call it a day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, it's a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. I like my videos now to be about, 5 to 7 minutes. I think that's a good sweet spot. So that way you guys can get in, get out, and enjoy your day. But I just want to show you what was in that final album that we picked up a couple months ago at a flea market. So as always, thanks again for watching. Really, really do appreciate it. And we will see you at noon.